Humanity, I love you all with all my heart, with all my might. The video feed got cut off, but that doesn't matter because we're here again. So the light comes through the eyes. The information comes through the eyes. It's always the eyes. You see, it comes through the eyes. The light comes through the eyes. The information, the data bits, the sets, perception, the senses, is through the eyes. Reality is inside into the brain. So we map out reality. But first comes through the eyes. So this is the way it is. So when we stare at the sun, which is the creator, think about it, what it means. We're staring into what created Earth, created the conditions for us to exist in the first place. So this energy is hitting us right in the brain. Boom. So it does a lot of things, you know. It resets us. It regenerates our cells, brain cells. It regenerates it, it rejuvenates it. You know, it flourishes it. It nourishes it. It powers it. You know, we're synapse, you know, electrical current. Imagine the amount of energy coming through our eyes and doing what it does to our brain. And beyond the brain, I just want to quickly mention the heart, because we locked in with our heartbeat and the sun's pulse, both electromagnetic fields into one. We build the bridge. We open the portal through our eyes, the sun iris nexus, the human practice. So then all this energy into the brain and then into the heart. Remember, the electromagnetic pulse creates life, so we exist, so we love. So then we have all this energy also resonating with the heart. Why? Because it's making the heart more powerful to create. And don't we create with love? So it is love. It's reminding us we love. We love. This is what we are. We're creators. It's the heartbeat that creates life. So think about it. Then the energy comes into the light. All this energy comes into the brain. And what are our brains for the most part there for? You know, we think, right? But what is it that we constantly do? We have memories. And what are our memories based on previous experiences? So if you think about it, if we are creators, we need to have all this energy, loving energy, available to us so we can create through daily action, purposeful daily action. This is what this is for. Purposeful daily action, right? So obviously, if we have memories that are negative cognitive loads, negative thoughts, all these things from previous experiences, these are charges that are essentially this like static, is friction, is stopping us from reaching our potential. This negativity is there bothering us, and we experience that in the way of negative emotions, fear, frustration, pain, suffering, blah, blah, blah. So think about it. So we live those experiences, but they're in the past. But we have the memories of those experiences, and there is a negative cognitive load attached to it energetically as an emotion. So what do we do when the energy comes in? Well, our brains naturally start to bring those, it flares these memories. They flare up all these memories. The most recent one or the most traumatic, the ones that your brain has a stack. It needs to process quickly. We need to process these emotions. We need to process all these things. So that's what it does in the beginning of the process. When you start, you know, syncing with the sun, staring at the sun and opening your heart, the first thing that it does is bringing up those memories that are most traumatic that you have to deal with immediately now, so you can actually move on and do what you're supposed to, which is to create. Right? Because remember, with a vision, our dreams happen, our true self, our future state happens in our mind, our memories, our brain is visualizing it, where we headed. But in order for us to take action so we can become and make those dreams come true as creators with our actions here and now, our free will, we need to deal with all this negative load first so we can actually have the energy and the resources to love and have a powerful, loving nation of creation and action so we can become that state, that true self, our dream becomes true. So, okay, let's get there. So, think about it. Painful emotions come first, all this trauma, you know, they're fantasies and illusions because these memories already happened. They're not events that are happening right now. Yes, you would have events, but the negative events and all these different things from the past, they're already just memories that are bothering us. So when we bring those memories up, the brain does it through the eye connection with the sun. Exactly for this is the biological reason why the sun and the syncing of the heart and the brain does. It brings the most painful emotion that you have the energy level required to cope with. Meaning, your heartbeat has the love required to heal that emotion, to heal that memory, so it doesn't bother you anymore. So say, for example, a memory that is negative comes. It's a traumatic memory, say from like last week, you had an argument with a loved one and it's bothering you. So then, of course, you're staring at the sun, the memory comes up, and then your heartbeat is stronger. You can love. So you start to heal that memory, and your energy, your heartbeat, your creation, your love energy transmutes that emotion. You can heal it. You can essentially dissipate all the negativity out of it, decharge it, you deload it. You take all the bad things of it, and you heal, and you forgive, and you accept, and you have gratitude. And then you do this process. You do it through self-reflection, you take the actions, and then you start to heal, and you heal, and eventually that emotion would have no negative impact on you. So that emotion, you become grateful, is just an experience. It's just an event that took place to shape you and show you the path forward. And this is unstacked, so this never ends until there is no more negative load. So the next memory comes in, and the next memory comes in, and because remember, you're constantly staring at the sun, your heart is stronger and you have more love to deal with these negative emotions that are coming. So you start to deal with each memory as they start to come and they start to come. So you see, this is what we're accomplished with, because we shatter illusions and render fantasies obsolete, because these memories, these negative memories, they are illusions. They're not real. They already happened, but they have an effect on us. And these render fantasies, and we live those fantasies, these negative emotions, and then we just have negative mindsets and mind states because of it. But when we deload them, we decharge them, and we neutralize the energy, we dissipate it and dispel them, we repeal them, and they're fully shattered, then that means that there's no hold on us. So we have more energy, our heart's stronger, we have more love to deal with more powerful, more painful, more fearful events in our lives, more traumatic situations. So that's what it does. So we start to go through all these emotions. And when we start to do this simultaneously, our true self and identity starts to form this idea, okay, actually, I learned from this is who I am. These experiences shape me, my boundaries, my dimensions. This is who I am, my origin, my story. And then you start to form actually who I am, because you have more energy. You freed up all this energy to create. And then your mind starts to form this vision of who you are, this dream, this true self idea, where you're headed, your purpose, your destination. So then you do this process until you have enough strength to start taking action and dealing with those, making that dream come true. So this is the introduction. Why? Because today's video is about shadow and the shadow and what the shadow is. So you can always refer to the image on y.house/shadow on Substack and on YouTube. And on the website, y.house/shadow. But let's talk about what the shadow is then. Now that I set up the premise, the introduction of how we deal with these negative emotions, let's exactly talk about what that is, or what the shadow is. That's exactly what the shadow is. The shadow is the subconscious, this negative energy, this negative entity that forms in the human brain as a result of all this negativity, all this negative cognitive load, all these negative emotions, all this fear, all this trauma, all this distress, all this frustration, all this pain, all this suffering, all this anguish, all this anguish. It all happens as a result of bad experiences and bad emotions. So we have this shadow. We all humans have a shadow. This has been developed. There's a lot of information out there about what the shadow is, but essentially what the shadow is fundamentally is low self-love. That's what it is. It's not loving ourselves, and because of all these blockages that we have, all these blocks, and these blockades are essentially done by negative emotions that are holding us back. These loads, these charges through trauma, and all these issues that we have in our lives, our experiences, unconscious, subconscious. So that's what the eye connecting with the sun and the energy of the heart and the brain allows us to deal with these emotions. So we start to integrate the shadow. So the shadow gets integrated as a result of us battling it. Because you need to understand that we're infinite eternal energy. This is who we are. We're light, we're creation. The sun suggests that, our heartbeat suggests that, electromagnetic field. We're infinite energy. This is who we are. So if we're energy, we're creation, right? We create through love. energy creates, love creates. This is what energy does. Energy powers things, drives things. This is what energy does. So you need to understand what the shadow is. The shadow is immaterial, meaning it lacks substance. The shadow has no source of energy itself. The shadow is just dead, is lifeless. It has no core, it has no volume, it has no substance. It has no self-awareness, it has no consciousness, it's not alive. It doesn't have a pulse, it's just negative energy, it's negative load that is there holding us back. Think about it, like just think about it in physical terms, like there is light, the sunlight, and then you have an object, on the way of the sun is here, the object is here. And then when the sun hits the object, what does that object do? It casts a shadow. But the shadow is not alive. It's the object itself, us, the true self, the individual, the identity, the creator, that is casting that shadow. So those shadows are exactly that, this negative energy, these negative notions, these negative cognitive loads, these memories, these traumas, these issues that we have in our lives, unresolved issues, these memories, these problems, these traumas, these subconscious, these unconscious things, unresolved issues, unresolved memories, unresolved conditions. So that's what the shadow is. So the shadow is lifeless, is purposeless, really. It has no purpose. The only purpose it does is just there to be addressed. And how do you deal with a shadow? Well, you expose it. When you expose the shadow with light, then the shadow disappears. There is no more shadow anymore. If there is a shadow being casted there, you beam it with light and then it goes away. So live energy destroys shadows. It dissipates them. It deals with them. The shadow is nothing once the light hits them. And what's the light? Well, the truth. What's the light? The exposure. And what's the exposure? Love, self-love, gratitude. We look at the sun, the memory comes up, our heart gives us the strength to deal with the emotion, with the memory, with the painful situation, with the shadow, the low self-love state, low energy, this cognitive low emotion. And then what happens? Well, it gets dealt with, it gets neutralized, so the shadow becomes smaller and smaller and smaller. So the mechanism, obviously, of the shadow is low self-love. Because low self-love, when you don't love yourself, you don't understand your identity and your true self, then you don't take action. You are in an inactive state. Your inaction is the main state because you're in fear. You're paralyzed by fear. When you're in fear, you're paralyzed. So inaction, that's exactly what it is. It's fear-based. The shadow is fear-based. So you deal with the shadow in that way. The inaction is not allowing you to take action. And what is this? Is avoidance, is denial, is fantasy, is illusions, all these things holding you back. This is the shadow. It's just the way it operates. These fantasies, these illusions through mediums and media gets reinforced. And then you don't take action. You don't love yourself. You don't understand who you are, your self-worth, your identity, your true self. Because of this mechanism, all this negative energy, this negative cognitive load holding you back. But remember, it's not alive, it's just a mechanism because it's all these things that you haven't addressed. All this negativity, this essentially noise, it's all this noise. You have all this noise in your mind, in your body, in your brain with this charge, this friction. It has this level of frequency, very low level, resonating at a very low frequency, destructive frequency in the back of your mind, in the back of your brain that needs to be addressed. And that's what you do with self-love. So, but let me finish what the shadow is. And the shadow itself, all this frequency is lifeless, but because it's not being addressed, it has a charge. You see, so it has a defense mechanism. And defense mechanism is in action, is these fantasies, these illusions, is reliving the memories, reliving the fears, being held back, not loving yourself. So it's this negative feedback loop. So that's the defense mechanism that it has. This negativity there holding you back. So how do you deal with the shadow? Exposing it with light. And what's life is no truth, is creation, us, energy. And that's compass, that's us. We're infinite compass. We shatter illusions, rendering fantasies. And what's a shadow if it's not a fantasy, an illusion? So we shatter fantasies and illusions. This is what we do. We render them obsolete. We take action with our free will. And how do we take action? Well, because we're a compass, we're infinite energy beings. This is who we are. We create through love. We start with self-love. This is our identity, our true self. Is self-love. It's our boundaries, where it starts. Everything starts with us, loving ourselves, understanding who we are, the human heartbeat. And the human heartbeat determines that we love. So this is our creation. This is who we are. This is a natural state to love, self-love. So we can then self-transcend and love others and love what we do. So self-love is the signal that allows us to take action. In this case, when we stare at the sun and we have this memory and we confront it, this painful event, this trauma, then our heart allows us to deal with it in which way? Self-reflection, gratitude, acceptance, forgiveness. We forgive ourselves, we forgive the perpetrators, we forgive those who victimized us, we forgive ourselves for that. And then that energy, the shadow starts to break down and it gets destroyed because it gets integrated back into, day-to-day life where you really are, a compass and it's a sundial. So this is what happens. So it starts with self-love, and then the actions we're taking, dealing with this shadow, then it gets to self-reflection. So the process becomes even more powerful because as you start to dissipate and decharge and deal with the noise and deal with the static and deal with the friction of all these low-level energy, this cognitive load in the back of your mind, your subconscious and your unconscious, what happens? Well, you're free up, you have more energy because this static is not bothering you. You have full energy, full resonance, full electromagnetic capacities, pulse of life. So your shadow becomes smaller so you can take action. And these actions are actually where you're headed, where you're supposed to be. And you're supposed to be this dream, this true self, this identity, this creator that make things happen, that make dreams come true. And this self-reflection obviously creates this positive coping strategy because as you start to understand this mechanism, who you are, and that you're a compass and you shatter illusions rendering fantasies, and you make fantasies and illusions obsolete by rendering them out of existence with your high frequency, your high energy, you vibrate them out of existence because these are just static, this is noise, this is friction, it's lifeless, it lacks substance, it doesn't have self-awareness, it's not conscious. I'll say that again, it's lifeless, it's unaware, it doesn't have consciousness. The shadow is black substance, it lacks volume, it lacks life, it's lifeless. It's just this static, this friction, this noise. And you get rid of it by targeting it. You shatter your energy, your love, frequency at it, and then it gets destroyed. It gets dealt with, it neutralized, it never bothers you anymore again because it doesn't have. The only power that it has over you is the power that you give it because your unconscious and subconscious behavior due to the fear and trauma and pain and suffering of those memories and events. But when those events don't have any hold on you anymore because your heart is brave and courageous to feel that and heal and be grateful and move on and understand who you are, an eternal creator, then that doesn't have an effect on you. It gets integrated and it gets disintegrated. And that's it. Is the end of the shadow. So you're stronger now. You moved away from these fantasies and these illusions. It doesn't have any hold over you. So then this is a coping strategies that we do. We beam it, just like the sun beams the earth with its energy. We ourselves have the capacity. We're infinite energy. We have wavelengths. We are resonance. We're radiance. We radiate energy with our electromagnetic field. With our heart, we create. Our love emanates and it hits it and it destroys it. This is the way it works and the way it would always be. We destroy low energy with high energy. We render it out of existence because of a high frequency, a high vibration. The creation, the love that we have for ourselves gives us the power through our heart to create, and we destroy negativity. It neutralizes it. It just doesn't have an effect anymore. It's been depolarized. It has no motion because it's lifeless in the first place. It's just friction. It's noise. It's nothing. It's just static. Background noise that you deal with. It's just the way it is. That's why self-awareness is so important, because that's how you deal with it. And the heart gets stronger with the sun. And the brain then has more energy to bring out those memories and then have the dreams come true, our true self. And this is a full integration of the shadow. And essentially what the shadow integration is just the full disintegration of the shadow is what it is. It gets integrated by being disintegrated, by ceasing to exist. Because it's nothing, it's lifeless, it's formless. It's just a shadow that is being casted by an object, and you are the object, so you can destroy it just as you cast it, because it's lifeless, it's formless, it's nothing, it's just a shadow. So it's very basic, it's just what it is. Humanity, I really love you all with all my heart and all my mind. And this is why it's so important, because this idea, this concept of shadows and shades, it's been prevalent in human affairs for a long time because of our unawareness. Then again, we came from this state of not knowing who we were. Why? Because of this fear, this trauma, this pain, this suffering. But now we know how to deal with it. We stare at the sun, we open our heart. We build a bridge, we open the portal. We know that our heart has the infinite love to deal with anything and create anything, because this is our nature to create. And because we do this, then we can just deal with all these different things. And the shadow has lost its value. It doesn't really have any value at all in human affairs. It's just there to be destroyed, to be disintegrated with our love and our infinite eternal creation and our high levels of frequency and vibration, because this is who we are. We're infinite eternal creators. We're a compass. We shatter illusions, rendering fantasies. We just destroy them. This is what we are. We're energy. We just beam at them and they're out of existence. They don't exist anymore. Humanity, I love you all with all my heart, with all my might. And I just wanted to address to you what the shadow was, so you understand what it is and what it isn't. It's not alive. It's lifeless, formless, voidless. It's a void thing. It doesn't have any life. It's just lacks substance. It lacks volumes. It's nothing. We are everything. We are the creators. We are the life. We gave life to the shadow by not addressing it. Imagine how powerful we are. So that's the purpose of the shadow, to be addressed, to be disintegrated, so we understand who we are. And that's the positive side, because everything has a positive side. So this negative load, this shadow thing, is there to teach us a lesson. And what's the lesson? That we are energy, that we're infinite creation, that we are alive, that we're full life, that we're purposeful, that we're infinite energy, infinite love. We're heartful. This is who we are. We're a benevolent species. That's what this is all about. These memories are there just to be dealt with, so we understand what our purpose is, our destination is. Our dreams come true with our actions. We create them. So hope this makes sense and you understand who we are. We're infinite creators, This is why we have created the Republic of Planet Earth. We, the citizens of the Republic of Planet Earth, on Earth and outside Earth orbit, the leaders of the Republic of Planet Earth, the defenders of the Republic of Planet Earth. This is who we are. And who we always be. This will never change, because this is our nature. We're here to love. We live to love and we love to live. This is who we are. Humanity, I love you all with all my heart, with all my might. I'll be making another video shortly. Love you.